so much for coming to my show. First of all, how are you doing today? What's the time right now?
It's 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. My kid is watching TV while I'm doing this.
Okay.
And my husband's working. So I'm having my coffee.
Abhi, aajkal, you know, what's going on? Thursdays or weekdays, it's all the same, right? You're staying at home.
Yeah. Weekend, we try to, you know, do something different so it's not just, every day doesn't feel the same. So what we've done is every Saturday is one family member's movie day. That means after breakfast, that person can start watching movies or TV show or binge watch back to back to back until 5 p.m.
Okay. That's just one day in a week.
But we take turns. So this coming weekend is my husband's weekend. Next weekend is my weekend. Take turns.
So that's still...
Otherwise, binge watching, we don't really get the time. You know, I hear all the people on social media, oh, we're just binge watching so much during this pandemic. I'm like, how?
Obviously, things are a bit different right now. Your kids are studying from home, right? Staying at home.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, tell me a little bit about work and everything. How are you guys coping up? I mean, is everything way more difficult now the way it is in Bangladesh, or is it slightly different?
Well, the TV and film industry is pretty much shut down. And I'm part of the actors union here, SAG-AFTRA. And so the union has tried to put some rules and regulations in place that if you're filming something, these are the COVID precautions you need to take. But even still, there's a lot of risk, especially if you're an actor, right? Someone's going to do makeup for you. Someone's putting clothes on for you. You get mic'd and you have to be without the mask. And so everybody else can have gloves on and masks on. I mean, it doesn't completely take the risk away, but it reduces for them a lot more than it does for me. So I've heard of some people going to set and working on things and protocols were not being followed properly. There's non-union stuff happening that, you know, there's no regulations for them to follow, so they can just do whatever they want. But primarily the industry is shut down. And then what I'm hearing is that until December, January, it's gonna pretty much just be like this.
First time I saw you was 2009. And I saw you in one of my favorite series, which is my mom's favorite series as well. First of all, let me tell you, Pakistani series are really popular in Bangladesh. So we saw it. We saw your Ish Junoon Diwangi.
Oh my God!
And then we have seen your Malal, Niyat, and so many other series as well. And of course, lots of shows are not on television but on YouTube. So we have followed it there. So I mean, I just want to know, like, I know a lot about you because I've got this secret thing for you. I always follow you, I stalk you. But
oh my God!
But I don't. I might edit this part. But okay.
Keep it.
But for my audience, some of my audience who still they don't know much about you, I just want to like let them know, like, how did this thing came to your head? Like, when did you first realize that, okay, this is what I want to be in the world?
That I want to be an actor.
Yes, an actor, and you know, you have this passion for storytelling and producing.
So I've been thinking a lot about it because I knew it in my childhood. And if I can pinpoint a moment, it was, that's the earliest I think I can go. I was maybe 8 years old. My youngest Bua used to live with us and she was in college and she did a play and she played a mother-in-law in that play. And, you know, it really was a play for grown-ups. I don't know why my parents took me to go see this play. But, you know, in our culture, there's not like bachon ki film, baron ki film. Everybody just goes. So I watched her and was like, it was the first time I saw someone I knew, but transformed, right? Yeah. And then we go backstage to meet her and she's just sobbing. And at that time, I didn't realize what was happening. But as I've thought about it more, I think two things happened. One, I just got intrigued by the power that came with what she did, that she did this whole thing on stage, and yet she was a person, and how deeply impacted she was by that. And the other thing was that she played this very mean mother-in-law. And so she really took it on. And then she was backstage crying because it was almost like her way of releasing that, whatever she took on to play that role. And only recently have I really clearly for myself come to that moment of like, oh, that clearly had an impact on me. And before that, you know, we all watched TV or movies or whatever, but I think that really, something about that made me just go, this is like magic. There's something in this that I want to experience.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I would do theater workshops, or I would read comic books, and I would get my cousins and friends, garmiyon ki chuttiyon mein, and I'll dramatize the comic book in our living room. No one's there to see, but we're just playing. So that's how it started.
So did you grow up in US or did you grow up in India?
I grew up in Delhi.
In Delhi, okay. And then eventually you went to US.
Yes, I came to the US to study acting.
Right. And since then, how long has it been, your journey in US?
I've been in the US, it will, about 15 years? 15 years? No, almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, half my life.
Wow.
Now you know how old I am.
How do you manage to still look the same?
Oh,
Is it all those yoga, 60 minutes of yoga?
No. I can be very lazy.
Then so you're just blessed with the...
I guess, you know, now our diets have changed so much. You can't even trust the food. Like, we get cucumber and I'm like, what is this slimy, weird, thick skin on cucumber? This is not real. Like, what factory are they growing this in?
Yeah.
You know, but our parents' generation at that time, everything was organic. There was not this organic. So I feel like there's something about that. I mean, obviously it's genes and the food. And I also feel like artists, and in that I include musicians, painters, artists of any kind, because of the nature of this profession, you can never really settle down. There's no settling down. Hamare culture mein hota na, beta, get a job and settle down. There's no settling down if you're an artist. And so some part of that just naturally keeps you in turmoil, constant turmoil, and also constantly learning, constantly looking to what's new. And I wonder, and I feel like that may have something to do with the, you know, as old as I am, I don't feel old. Because there's not like, for 10 years I'm doing this job, roz office jate hain, wapis aa jate hain, and then, you know, there's no settling down.
Never bored. You're not bored of it, so you're always looking forward to what's next.
I mean, I am definitely thwarted by it and disappointed by it, but never bored. Yes.
Never bored.
No.
There was this interview that I was watching from not from your channel, it was on YouTube. So I think it was from 10 years back. It was from 2010 or 2011, where you were mentioning about how there are no benchmarks now, like no one to follow. It's so hard to find someone to follow, role models. And you mentioned that 10 years back. What's your take on it now after 10 years? Has it gone worse? So like koi nahi hai. Sometimes I ask my mom, mom, except for you, I don't find
role models. I'll tell you, in South Asian culture, we, especially women, we have a lot of incredible women ahead of us who have, you know, paved the way. But I feel like what happens is example is used. Are, that one person did it, so can you. But that one person may not truly speak to me. Do you know what I mean? So in a way, we need many more role models so we can all, in all kinds of industries, in all kinds of professions, So it's not just this one person who had to be the role model for everybody.
Yeah.
And because no one is perfect, that one person may have achieved some level of success that we feel like, bus, this is it. But they're not perfect. I'm sure they're going to make mistakes. So you need to be able to have a variety. And for South Asian women, I feel like we're still in a very patriarchal system.
Yeah.
It's changing slowly. But I also feel like the roots are very deep, and it takes time for both men and women to change their mindset about, you know, what is possible for women to achieve and accomplish.
That's what you were trying to tell me, that, you know, in that interview as well,
Yeah.
that we need more people.
We need more
to
role
idolize
models. I mean, like, yahan pe we have people like Mindy Kaling, right? But then she's the only South Asian American woman who's making and producing. And she has a limited scope of view. And so she can only see what she can see. We need multiple stories to create a variety of stories so that everybody feels heard and seen.
When you get that one person, sometimes I feel like, because it's like 1 in a million, you get one person who made it, who did it. And then women supporting women a lot in the South Asian world.
Yeah. And, you know, when opportunities are limited, as they can be for, you know, when we're all jostling for power in a patriarchal system, then it feels like I've worked so hard to get here. And now if she, you know, moves ahead, and we also don't have role models of people who succeed, then turn around and be like, okay, now I'm going to mentor other women. Now I'm going to bring more. Because what happens? Then when you do that, then the men who you've, you know, now success, you've come shoulder to shoulder with them, they'll be like, oh, agenda iska. Feminist hai.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you're not only competing, you're not only dealing with the male colleagues who hopefully have learned to respect you because you've succeeded despite all odds. And you're also dealing with the other women who are like, Are, so you've made it, and now, and that's something that I've been thinking about as well. I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of success, because what I want, you know, compared to that, I'm like, And it's like, and I'm learning also of like, in a way, it doesn't matter the levels and the hierarchies of success. At every point, I have the responsibility and I have the ability to turn around and say, let me help, right? And it's like, how do we do that? What does that look like? And in our community specifically, I've seen time and time again where people are happy to take free help, but not give, not share. And I think part of it is, you know, we're less than 100 years from independence from the British people. So we still have a lot of colonial hangover, that mentality of scarcity. You know, so I just feel like it all plays in.
So I just want to tell my audience what role you played in my life. It's a silent role. Nobody ever knows except my mother, and then later on, okay, chalo ek aur banda, and then okay, chalo meri ammi. So 3. So now the egg story bolte I'll end up saying 2 or 3 stories, but no,
it's okay.
The main point is that 3 very important people in my life knew about you and knew how you inspired me. First of all, this is the first time I'm seeing her face to face, and there's so many times I missed my chance of seeing you, but the way you have, you know, right now you were just saying a point, ke chalo mujhe nahi pata how much successful I am, but every point, you know, we try to do our part, and sometimes like you try to do it, but most of us, we usually like to take help, but we don't want to share it, or, you know, provide help to someone else. From there, you were so different, because I remember emailing you like 5 years back. And how you took that time to listen to me, understand me, not knowing me who I am. I could be I don't know, anybody. And you actually did respond to me, and you actually did appreciate me for being proactive and, trying to follow my dream, or, trying to do things which is next to impossible. But then again, I clearly remember at that very point of my life, it was end of 2015. I cannot mention her name. So she's very successful as well. She lives in US and she's from my country, and she's a famous director. Well, yeah, famous director, whatever. So, and she clearly told me, I remember I saw her email and I saw your email, and that is all that I needed to understand, because she's from my country. Sometimes, we have this thing, chalo ye meri country ke, and I think 5 years back, I think मैं और भी dumb थी, so मैं अभी भी
we're all
smart.
We all get wiser as we get older.
Yeah, तब मैं बहुत ही dumb थी, I think. And she responded to me, and straight away I just remember, like, I just asked her one thing, कि मैं शायद न्यूयॉर्क आऊंगी 6 months बाद, or I want to pursue acting classes, and I want to see try my luck there in acting, not in directing or anything, just acting, okay. And how she responded to me was like, चलो अभी आप मुझे बोलो क्या मैं act कर सकती हूँ? Just ask me that question right now.
Me?
Like,
ask you?
Yeah.
Can you act?
No, you asked me if you can you perform in New York? Can you just say
you think you can perform in New York?
No, like I'm making you act now.
What do I have to say?
No, just pretend yourself.
I am you saying,
yeah.
Do you think I can make it in New York?
No. Okay, bye. That's how she was. And I was like, yeah, she's a woman, she's from my country. चलो अगर मैं कर भी नहीं सकी, क्या problem है? Just you can at least say, okay, you're coming to New York, okay, sure, best of luck.
Yeah.
इतना बोलने में कुछ नहीं जाता. But the fact that you're so insecure, I'm not even in your profession. But वो ना मुझे, I don't know, it made a big impact on me, and it कुछ जिद मुझे लगा, कि क्यों ऐसे मुझे बोला? Maybe because I just felt like that, I was looked down upon, something like, nah, these won't work, so you stay there.
Yeah.
And वो ना कहीं subconsciously just really did annoy me a lot. और उसी वक्त I remember I found your email and I was like, ये क्या है भाई, angel है या क्या? मतलब to you maybe you thought, okay, चलो मैंने तो एक बहुत ही basic चीज किया, she's मतलब for you maybe it was a very normal thing, but to me it was like ये तो इंसान नहीं कर सकता, because मैं इतना negative energy के बीच में वो थी. So I still remember that I have all your emails with me. I know I will sound like a very psycho woman, but everything is saved, everything is with me, in my heart, in my drive, in my laptops, phones. So, I know how much courage you gave me just by saying, okay, of course it's possible, it's so nice to see you are proactive. जितना भी आपने जो भी मुझे बोला, I remember every line made a difference to my life. And I remember saying this to my mom as well, कि Deepti Gupta ने मुझे कहा, I can go and study there as well. And my mom was like, ये
पागल
that's Deepti Gupta. हाँ, ये Deepti Gupta ने बोला है. उसको कोई जमीन पे लेकर आओ, तो तब से she's thinking कि इसको बस जमीन में, she's flying in the air. उसको अभी तो मैंने pandemic में मेरे अम्मी को बोल दिया, देखो अभी मैं जमीन पे नहीं रहूंगी. How many days will I live? How long will I live? Let me pursue my dream. I cannot just stop dreaming for the negative energy. So as I was telling you उस दिन के on the phone कि I have इतना मैंने ये 4 महीने में I have blocked and deleted so many people, and I feel so good. Now the time is coming at a point where I don't feel like keeping like anyone in my life who's negative, who will not inspire me or not say something nice, but say something bad which will demotivate me. So wahan se I just want to thank you. I made it too long. I will edit this, but thank you so much. You really made a difference to my life, and you have no idea. You might not have been there. You maybe not know, but there is a girl in Bangladesh who was constantly thinking that, you know, she can do it because of you. And it is just because of you. I'm telling you, even in this pandemic, when I asked you to send me that video and I was like, you know, I want to make a campaign, and how you just said, okay, I'll do it. I was like, she's such a big actress. Usne mujhe haan keh di, you know, I know how I felt. So even if it was something small for you, to me, it made a lot of difference. You gave me a lot of confidence, and I think that's all I needed.
It makes a big difference to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do you see any difference कि 15 years पहले जो भी whatever the things were challenging for women, अभी भी is it the same, or?
You mean in my profession or in general?
In your profession, in US.
Things are improving every year. And, you know, with, what's that physics thing? With obviously more women are becoming producers, and so they're telling stories that they can stand behind, and that the stories are not just about the male protagonist. I think where the US industry is lagging is really leveraging diversity. And that means all different people of color. And we're still, and right now with the Black Lives Matter movement that's happening, there's suddenly, you know, people are like, yeah, there's a lot of enthusiasm, and there's a lot of trying to correct the past wrongs.
Yeah.
I hope, no one knows what the future is, right? We've had these kinds of phases happen before. I hope this is not a phase. I hope that this has long-lasting impact, so that the stories that are told, they don't have to be the story of a brown woman whose identity as a brown woman is integral to the story. It doesn't have to be that. It can just be a story about this person who wants a good life for her child, and she's struggling, and she happens to be brown.
Yeah.
You know, when that can happen, then we've truly reached a point where it's equal opportunity for everybody. But we're still stuck in, oh, a brown woman. Is she Mexican? Is she Middle Eastern? Is she what? And what will that mean for the story? And partially that's important because the audience is ignorant. Yeah. And so they'll look at someone who's not white and be like, what's their story? Because they don't know. There are no stories of those people. So then you, as a creator, you feel like it's your responsibility to educate the audience. So then it becomes a story of identity as well.
Yeah.
So we are a long ways away from
still
the ideal.
Yeah. My next question was similar to this one, that do you think that, you know, we need more female writers or directors or, you know, producers to tell stories, and do you find the need that it would have been better, or like we want more?
I think we do.
Women.
But we also need, and maybe in some ways we need more male allies than we have. A lot of women writers and producers and directors. They just don't get, and this is the problem. Anytime anything with diversity comes up, people always say, "Arey hum to dhoondte hain, hai hi nahi wo log. Kahan hain? Wo log apply hi nahi karte." But that's not actually the problem. The problem is you're not looking in the right places. There are a lot of women who are working their asses off to try to be a part of this industry. Writers, directors, producers, camera women, actors, sound engineer, all.
Yeah.
But unless you have the people in power who go, I'm going to find someone who's not already in my circle. I'm going to find someone who doesn't look like me, who doesn't have the same background as me. Then you really start to see a difference happen. So we need more allies. And in terms of gender, we need more male allies, men who are really behind this.
Who have the power, and who are actually not, who needs to invest in films where there are you know, brown people or Bangladeshi people. I have never seen a Bangladeshi character in any film in my life. So, you know, this is like my dream now. I want to make a film in US where there will be Bangladeshi people, because we have been contributing for years in that country, and and okay, I hardly see one Patel or a Sharma. What about the Mias or
and same with all the South India, you know, we have, so the North India gets more prominence in these things because that's just, there is such little understanding of South Asia.
Yeah.
You know, we are a very diverse group of people with diverse languages and ways of being. There are similarities, but there are differences. And so I so hear you. What would it mean for you to see a Bangladeshi character on screen fully fleshed out, not just like a driver? You know what I mean? Fully fleshed out character.
Yeah.
Because art has a purpose in our lives. Art is like a mirror that we look into, and then it tells us, either it challenges us to be better, or it can be a mirror where we go, someone gets how I feel.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know that movies and TV, it's glamorized a lot, and you know, I'm on TV and whatnot. And there's a glamorous part to it. But it's a lot of hard work. And also, these stories serve a purpose.
Yeah.
They have a purpose for people to feel seen through them. Well, I'll tell you, when I was working in the Pakistani dramas, you know, before I moved to the US, when I was in India and I wanted to go to Bombay to work, I was told that, Arey, look at you, you'll get, you know, the hero's sister who's widower, or the hero's bhabhi who's always crying because something. Like, those are the roles you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, okay. And then I moved to the US and things are challenging.
That was like many years back, right?
Yeah, when I lived in India.
Okay.
And then I come to the US and things are challenging in their own ways, right? And so when I start working in Pakistani dramas, suddenly I wasn't the bhabhi or sister, I was one of the leads. And yet, within those stories, I was the woman who was not the pretty one that the guy wanted, but the other one, whatever that other is. And I made a very conscious choice.
Yeah.
I was like, I am not going to play this part as a bichari. As a bichari who's like, please mat jao uske paas and whatnot, right? I was like, no, I am not going to beg. These parts have to be played with dignity that they deserve, because there are a lot of women for whom this is real life.
Yeah.
And they already experience that bicharapan. But there's also strength. So where is that strength? I refuse to succumb to this bicharapan and then just perpetuate the same thing. It has to change. And so for me, it was a very, very, even in Ishq Junoon Diwan, not in Mane Na Ye Dil, which was shot in Australia, or Ishq Junoon Diwangi, there was that scene in which he comes and I found out what's happening and I confront him. And I was like, okay, there are two ways to go about it. I'm not going to beg. And I think that's very important. Sometimes art can lead the way.
Yeah.
When we need it, when we don't know in our own lives how to help ourselves.
Yeah. At some point, I think an artist must take a stand for themselves. And not just be diplomatic all the time. Ke, haan, chalo, ye bhi theek hai, wo bhi theek hai, you know?
So it's very important, but it's also complicated, right? Agar aapke finances, if you have a financial need that you need to take a job, you may not necessarily 100% feel that the role like if finances were not an issue, maybe you would be like, you know what, I don't want to do this part.
Yeah.
So you have to consider your life also, right, as an artist, or other situations that you're like, okay, ye part aisa hai, but the executive producer of this show does good work otherwise, and maybe this is a way to get in. So there's so many practical considerations. That said, I think, and this is something that I've learned, because I'm very krantikari. I'm like, ye galat hai, rah, rah, rah. And I've learned that it doesn't always work. And so what that means is,
don't say that.
no, it is true. It is true. And this is what I mean though. It doesn't mean that you compromise. What that means is not every place is the place for you to be a krantikari. Okay? So if this is a show and the part is like this, but the executive producer does good job, good work, and I one day would love to work with them more, let me do this so that I know in the future when something else they're working on, the people would know, oh, she worked on this show that this person did, and creates a little triangle.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay.
Yeah.
So what is important though is to know in your heart where you stand. To know, okay, I know that this is not, that something needs to change about this, but I am doing this for these reasons, right?
It's not time yet.
It is not time yet, or this is a specific, you have to take every job, every project and consider like, what is it bringing me, or what am I able to bring to it that can serve the larger purpose? And then there are times when you must stand up. I am in a situation right now where there's a casting director and they gave me some feedback that I feel is biased in stereotypes, and I have to write them an email. I'm choosing to write them an email to help them understand how their action or their belief system maybe needs to be checked. And that is something I've taken on. No one's asking me to do this. It could possibly have bad consequence for me. Yeah. It could, right?
Yeah, but you're still doing it. But,
in my conscience, I feel like if I don't, I would be compromising with myself.
Yeah.
Right? If I sit here and tell you it is important as an artist to know what they stand for, then I can't turn around and be like, Chodo rehne do, kya karna hai, email. You know, one day she might cast me. If I write this email, maybe she'll never cast me. Someone has to take a risk, right? Yeah. And I'm not just, for me, the fight is not just me, but also women like me who get stereotyped like the same way. And so, okay, in this case, maybe I need to take the risk and say something. And like you said, life, you know, is short.
Yeah.
And so if that's the one thing that I do that has greater impact for other women, on my deathbed, I can be like, you know.
And trust me, I'm having a feeling that you won't regret this decision, especially female women who wants to get into acting or telling stories, not just for Bangladesh or India, but in the global market.
Yeah, it's more and more becoming global, right?
Yeah.
I can only tell you from what I have learned. So, cliche advice, you know, say listen to your heart. But what does that mean? And recently I have learned about myself that as a girl, when you have desires, when you have wants, when you have like, oh, I want to do this, in most cultures, I would say, even in the US and American culture, in some ways or not, you're told, not okay. Not okay to want this, not okay to desire this. What that starts to do in your own self then is you start to become distant from yourself. And you start to listen less and less to yourself. Yeah. And so the listen to your heart, I mean, like, Someone recently said to me, your desires are not stupid. Your desires, your deep desires, know your life context, and still they appear. They're not stupid. Maybe they're your guides telling you, given the circumstances, this is what you must do, right? Yeah. And that has been very amazing to just have that shift. So I would say that, especially if you're a woman, if you're a young woman, and have this desire, listen to it. And what that means is, like, you have to maybe find some time every day to block out the other voices that are telling you it's not possible. Or maybe it's become your own voice and you're telling yourself it's not possible. Maybe find 10 minutes every day where you can really just block it out and find that maybe it's some song and music that allows you to go into that place where it's like, it's possible. Yes, I want this, and connect to that. Yeah. Because when things are tough, as they will be in this profession, the negative voices amplify automatically. And you don't even have to work hard on it. Nobody has to tell you anything. You'll remember all the negative voices. You'll tell yourself all the negative voices. You'll become the person who's like, are you stupid? Are you, all of that. So in those moments, if you don't have a strong core in yourself of trusting your dreams, intuition, desire, then it's easy to get lost. And I say this because this is something I've learned. I have been lost for a long time. And somehow it's like accidentally I hear my inner voice. And now the work is to how to consistently listen to my inner voice so I don't get derailed, because there's I don't know if you know, James Baldwin was an African-American writer. And I mean, he in his writing really talks about what it is like as a man of color who's also gay to create art. And he talks about how if you are a person of color, or if you are in any way a minority artist, you have to develop such a strong core, because as you step outside your home to practice your art, to become your artist, people are going to try to tear you down in ways that you don't even recognize. So if you don't have that strong core in yourself, how will you withstand that? Right? And so how you build that is something that only each of us individually can learn for ourselves. Like you've done, you are creating a support system for yourself of people who really believe in you, and choosing not to listen to the people who don't believe in you. There are books that talk about what an artist's journey is like. There are resources. Look for them and really nurture yourself. And then take action, create. Sitting at home, waiting for someone to give you permission, I think we're past that. I mean, you're in Bangladesh, I'm in Los Angeles, we're talking. The world is becoming smaller in ways that we hadn't imagined 20 years ago. So that means that you can create content and put it out there. It may take time, it most likely will take time. But it is so important to share your stories or stories you want to tell, but also it's important. There's something that happens the more you create, the more creativity becomes part of your life. It starts to become this like inner outer circular. The outer creativity that you create feeds more inner creativity. And the more you block it and be like, well, I cannot do it because this and this and this, there's always a way to do it. It doesn't matter how many people see it. It really doesn't matter. You're doing it for yourself, first and foremost. So that's what I would say.
My God, thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, and as you just said that maybe they're your secret guide, which is your desire, your instinct, and constantly telling you that you can do it, and then you listen, you just do the opposite. I think when I look back, I think half of my life has been wasted listening to people. Like,
right. And so what happens is when you grow up in a culture where there's less support, a lot of what you do becomes, I'll prove you wrong. I'll prove you wrong. And I've spent a lot of time in that anger place. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me. It diminishes my creativity.
When it works from a negative side.
Because I'm always, even though I'm saying, I'll prove you, I'll do it, I'm still in relationship to that energy. Right?
Yeah.
How do I become in connection with my creative energy that just exists? It kind of is like this, like a bubble that you can poke darts at and is like, doesn't matter. And it's not even like, hey, don't poke at me.
Yeah.
It's impervious to that. And that doesn't mean that as a creative person.
But how did this happen? Like, how did that transition happen? How do you disconnect?
Oh, I am still in the process of it. I think what I've learned that I have spent a lot of time in that. I'll show you.
Yeah.
I still then what happens is that you still carry that energy. And so, of course, when something happens that doesn't work your way, that energy you're already carrying, it comes up and starts talking to you.
Yeah.
And so how do you connect with your creativity from a place of love and nurture?
And disconnect others. Like, I am not here to prove anyone anything, but
right.
to accept my own.
The others can only see what they can see. You are not responsible for them.
Yeah.
Right? And they can only think what they think. If they choose to limit their thinking, that cannot be my responsibility in terms of my creativity. And so I have to free my creativity from that. Easier said than done. It's hard. You have to, and I go back to what James Baldwin said. You have to really create a strong core of artistry with yourself.
Yeah.
So that when that happens, it's that bubble. If that happens and you're like, oh, I see you don't like it. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And not to say that you cannot then be collaborative, because an artist is essentially collaborative. So if we're collaborating, it's not like, well, this is what I do, and if you have a negative comment or any suggestion, well, then F off. If we're collaborating, then I have to be able to listen to you. And that's the challenge of being an artist. I have to be able to listen to what you're saying and then see if that works for me, for what I want to do. And maybe it'll be like, oh, I never thought of that. Let me try that. Oh, you know what? It didn't work for me. Okay, that's fine. But the moment we allow someone's negative comment to challenge our core and to affect our core, then we've lost the battle.
True. Last question for the show is, what is your upcoming, not just like upcoming project, but what is your next move or plan, I would say, if there's a kind of
during the pandemic.
Producing?
So I'm doing a couple of things during this time. I started this vlog. No one's doing vlogs anymore. It's so old-fashioned. But I started this vlog 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Called
where can I
on YouTube?
Where can I
on YouTube?
On your
it's
channel.
Called. I don't know if I have a channel per se. It's a very little thing that I'm doing, really more for myself than anything else. It's called Unothering Matters. And I talk about, the first one is about noses and how, we're so stuck up about noses and thin, sharp noses in South Asia. And I've been surprised to hear from so many different people who know me, who are like, this white woman who's like, oh my God, I grew up with a big complex about my nose. And it's interesting. The second one that I made was about the Indian matchmaking show, but really, I haven't really watched the show. I've only watched one episode. But I just wanted to address some aspects of it. There's another one that so it's just something that I'm doing as a way to express my thoughts on different aspects of South Asian life. and the ways in which our traditional ways of thinking don't quite serve us in the modern day.
Yeah.
And then I'm writing poetry daily. So
wow.
Yeah.
Where can we see them, hear them out? And
all my social media handles are at thedeeptigupta.com. THE, because there's a lot of Deepti Guptas. It's a very common name. THE, Deepti Gupta.
Oh, okay. So the Deepti Gupta. Okay.
Yeah, that's all my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And Instagram. Yeah, so that's where we can see all the
poetry is not public yet. It's only in my private Facebook profile. It's just something that I got a birthday gift of folded stars, paper stars. Each has a message. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? So each message, like today, was "you do enough." So each message becomes a prompt to investigate that idea and how it is in my life. And then
are you doing it like a writing, or you're reciting them?
No, I write. I type them and post them. And then I narrate audiobooks. So that is going on. I am working on, I have an idea. I have a couple of ideas for short films or web series. But like many other artists, it's like, okay, I have the idea, now what? Finding support systems and ultimately believing more in my own idea and myself to be like, all right, we're going to do it.
So, I mean, we are all looking forward to, I mean, I'll put all the handles in my episode, but also for myself, I would love to listen to your poetries as well. So I want you to be more active on your YouTube channel. And I think it'll be a great platform because, you know, as you said, I mean, in the pandemic, you're going to be stuck for a couple of months, and then why not express your ideas and yourself through your poetry.
It's something new that I'm trying because, you know, the thought in the head is like, well, you're an actor. Why are you doing this?
No, please, you are more than that.
This is like, we all go through this. So then I have to work with myself and be like, well, I am more than just an actor. And why can't an actor do this also? So you have to really be in conversation with yourself a lot.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy. I wish I was there to hug you.
One day, inshallah.
One day, inshallah, inshallah. Thank you so much.